Okay, in today's video I have this old, is that the actual brand name? Oh, it's a Copal Shahan or something, solid state flip clock and radio, and I pulled this apart ages and ages ago. What's it got on the back of it? Yeah, it is a Copal model RD-100, made in Korea. So I didn't realise it was an actual Copal branded clock, but it's got the old wooden case. So I guess probably 70s or something, fairly early in the 70s. Sanyo speaker in it. And from memory the motor just doesn't run in this one. It did have a plastic cover on here which I took off. And I think that's about as far as I got with it. I was thinking of pulling the actual motor out and pulling it apart, which is one way you can lubricate them. I think you got to drill out some rivets or something. I know I've done them years and years ago. Japan Copal, no jewels. That's what they used to tell you if they had jewels in them or not, like some of the watch mechs and stuff did. But going by the flip clock fans site, you can often just drip a bit of oil down in these things by the look of it and get them going that way. It's a Copal GC1239 motor, and it's got a switch as well, made in Japan. So I think we'll fire it up and see, but from memory, oh, it does actually run. Maybe I did actually do something to get this thing going, or is it just, it's quite noisy. Very noisy in fact. So maybe it was just noisy, this one. Usually they seize up and that's the end of them, they just don't run. Maybe I freed it a bit. Is it actually turning the gear on the other side? Doesn't look like it, but it is awfully slow, I think. So that could be another issue, that the motor's running but it's not actually doing anything. How do we set these things is the next question. That's the bit, that flips the flip clock bits over. Oh, we're on 804. I'm not sure whether these gradually turn or they suddenly turn. I forget now. I had a feeling the output gear gradually turns, but it could be that the gear box itself is not running. Doesn't sound very promising, but I guess I'll have to run it for 60 odd seconds and see if it does anything. Oh, it just flipped over. I was going to say it's not going to work, but it did finally get there. Just under, I'm pretty sure it took more than a minute, but anyway, might run it another minute and see if it manages to flip over again. This actually does work by the look of it, surprisingly, but it is very noisy. I assume that's, is that the aluminium piece? I don't know if it's actually rubbing on something, but I think we're going to have to take this mech out. Looks like it unscrews from the bottom. Very rusty screws, hopefully they come out. I have to flip again, let's see if it goes. At least it seems to be keeping time. 43, 4, 5, 6, click. Well, a little after. Maybe me messing with it is messing up its timing a bit, I don't know. That seemed to be a couple of seconds out at least. Maybe that noisy motor's running a bit off. Yeah, at least it seems to be coming apart, even though the screws are pretty rusty and horrible. Whoops, there's the clock mech. And obviously you've got to be careful with these, plenty of live wiring and stuff, including those two terminals there. And probably these switches could potentially have mains voltage. Don't know, it's got a neon light there. Was that neon lit? I didn't actually notice, but it probably was. Oh, it is, but pretty dim and flickery. As you can probably see it there, at night that may do the job. I thought they were a little bit brighter than that, but probably okay for a clock anyway, because you don't want it too bright. So looks like a couple of nuts on the end here to undo. I think we might as well loosen it off and have a look. I mean, that'll get this metal cover off around the motor bit, might help determine whether that's noisy or something. Missing a washer on that end, whether it should have had one or not, I don't know, but you'd assume if it's at one end it's at the other. Yeah, I think I might have actually had this out. I must have had it out. I probably left the washer off it. That does not sound happy. Better be careful what I'm doing here, since this is 240 volt. Oh, it probably isn't running because I've set it down like that. Just got to be careful what you're touching. Hopefully the case of it isn't live. Yes, and now it's not even starting up. So definitely iffy. I think the method the flip clock guy uses is to put some oil and run it down into that bit through these holes. I seem to remember getting one and drilling out something like these rivets. I think that's what I did. I drilled the rivets out, pulled the gearbox to bits, but in this case it probably isn't the gearbox anyway, and lubed everything up, and then put little tiny screws through to replace those mounting posts and stuff. But I think we'll try this new method of trying to get some oil to run, maybe on a cotton bud, and run down in there. Or can we just maybe just squeeze a little bit of oil in there and let it run down the inside? I must admit I like this method much more. I don't know how you know when it's reached there. I guess it probably comes out the other side eventually. Well, it hasn't done anything yet. Maybe I need to get even more in there. Runs down pretty quick. I must admit I'm a bit skeptical about this method, but if it works on YouTube, it must work, right? Because I wouldn't have thought it would get down in the bearing where it's needed. And so far it's proven me right. Maybe if we move that back and forwards a bit. And maybe because it's got the gears engaged, it's still going to be a bit noisy. And what I'm hearing is actually the gears, even though we may have made this run a bit better. Okay, well, it all seems to be running alright, nice and quietly, so time to put it back together, I guess. Plastic cover back on the front, gear upwards, because there's a hole that's got to go through to mesh with the mechanism. And then the cover back on, and washer, and nut. Oh, a bit of a weird end on that shaft, but eventually it finds the thread. I think I am missing a washer off the other end, but I'm not going to bother putting another one on, even though I've got hundreds of things lying around here. Yeah, I can't remember if I actually pulled this apart or not, or someone's obviously had it apart, I guess, and assuming that it did have a washer at the other end. But yeah, that seems to be alright. I guess maybe remove a bit of dust here and there while I've got it to bits. Off the switches and everything. I think the mix, well, the numbers are reasonably clean, hopefully. Don't want dust coming up on your numbers. So I can screw that back together. I guess I should really get those rusty old screws out of there, but well, there's one of them that's dropped out. But it's not exactly mint condition, this thing, anyway. But yeah, these were quite a common thing once upon a time. You don't see many of them around these days. For obvious reasons, the LEDs sort of made them obsolete. And probably LCD even. But of course these things were prone to making a bit of noise. It's just the noise constantly of the numbers clicking over, which was always a bit annoying. Most people are not particular fans of these things as a practical thing. But they are a cool piece of technology, something a bit different. One of the many ways people came up with to do this sort of thing. And obviously before solid state electronics and liquid crystal displays and stuff, this was quite an innovative way to do it. Because it was literally a digital clock with numbered digits for display, but all electromechanical, at least in the early ones. Obviously they added electronic radios and stuff to these ones. Made a little bit of noise at first, but it is running. I might have to, how do I get down into that radio dial? That is full of cobwebs or something in there. Looks like I might have to pull the radio section out as well, so that's a bit of a pain. But anyway, let's see if this works. We're at 3 minutes 37. Say 3 minutes 30 when I turned it on, I guess. And this could be, I guess, wound anywhere, can it? Or does it have to go 60 seconds before it will flip a number over, or can you start it and it's part way towards it? I'm not quite sure how they work, but I guess the mechanism had just clicked over last time I touched it, so regardless of where the motor was, that mech would still be just past the minute. So this might go off in a bit less than a minute, or it may not. So we're on 8:16 and it's been running a little bit. See if this goes. I've still got to clean out the radio dial, I think, and probably this clock bit as well. I shouldn't have really put the clock mech in, I guess. Does this front actually come off? Oh, maybe it does. It's 3 screws underneath, but they hold a metal bracket or something. 2 of them hold the radio, I think. Oh, 17, and that was at 36 seconds. I don't know, I think the bottom cover definitely separates from the front, as well as holds the radio. So yeah, maybe we'll get lucky and be able to unscrew this. Did I just say what I think I just said? So maybe we'll get lucky and be able to unscrew this front. I better be careful because there's still power on this thing. Might have to disconnect that antenna, headphone socket. Why do I always call them an antenna socket for some reason? Spent too long fixing TVs and VCRs, I think. A lot of rust in those screws, but oh, look at that. That's a cleaning job person's idea of heaven, that. Not sure if someone planned it that way for that reason, but what a nice simple thing to work on. Oh, I went to 8:18 and I didn't Didn't even notice. So normally I thought these click quite loudly, but I didn't even hear that. Probably because I was messing around with this. Maybe the camera picked something up. Oh, come on, you little fiddly thing. Yep, there goes our sockets. Yeah, a lot of dust on the front of this thing. I think those knobs were missing off it, because I wouldn't have took them off. So I think it was missing the top knob and the front knob, so it's not exactly mint. Oh, there goes 819 at 35 seconds or so, so it is probably not the most accurate, but mind you, by the time I looked last time, I might have skipped a second on the camera, which is all I'm using to time it. And yeah, clean all the muck out of the front bit. It looks like we can actually possibly unscrew the perspex bit. There's 3 screws here. Oh no, that's just the aluminium bit. Or does that allow the perspex to come off? I think it's glued. Oh, so you can peel it off potentially, because I'm just thinking it's going to be hard to clean down. Maybe hard to clean down in between these 2 parts. I mean, if this clock hasn't got all the knobs in it, it's hardly worth trying to get it mint anyway. But I'd like to get it as good as possible. I can get the brush in there pretty well, though there is actually stuff in between the 2 layers, so no, that's not really going to work. 819, did that just flick again a bit earlier? What's this? Oh no, 20. No, it is going somewhere around 36. That's making a noise again, that motor. Or something is making a little ticking sound. Let's see, if we take that aluminium off, we can probably peel the whole. Just got to be careful peeling things off that you don't rip. If they've got black paint and stuff on them, they're often, maybe not often, but sometimes when you try to peel them off, the paint, like it's got a strip of black paint along the top. I think it's black paint, or is that might just be the double tape. But you do risk tearing any of that stuff off as well. I don't know if I'm doing those screws really too much at all, but it's just kind of loose. Oh, it's all just glued on, heavily glued, I think. Whoop, there we go. 21, we just changed another minute. So it comes off as 1 bit. Let's give it probably its first clean in its life, to be honest. Certainly in a very long time. But no one would have been in here to clean it, I wouldn't think. That's a lot better on that bit. Whoops. Watch you don't hit the thing. Do the inside of the screen, which is quite filthy. Outside's even worse. Hopefully this double-sided tape will stick again. There's no guarantee it will though. But this is aged pretty well considering. Hasn't been kept in the best conditions. What's that stuff? There's still some goo on there. Actually not badly scratched or anything, which is surprising. There's a little bit there maybe, but I think all that's just actual dirt. There's maybe 1 set of scratches, which you probably won't really see. Polish it off with a clean bit of paper towel. Yeah, something with some sort of almost rotary circular scratches. Yeah, it's got a few on it, but not doing too bad for something that's been around this long. the radio dial clean because that was a bit dusty and horrible. Nice metal, solid metal kind of pointer on this one. Can't really clean all the radio stuff, I guess. Clock stuff, the numbers. You'd have to wait for all of them to go around, which isn't so bad on the minutes. I guess we can always... Oh, we're going the wrong... I'm turning the wrong thing, I think. Oh, you can flip them over. I just want to see if they look fairly clean. Ooh, that's where it's been sitting for... Oh, I can't go back. 51 is dirty. Oh, all the 50s, yeah, they got dust on the top of them. You can see them coming with dust on them. So that must have been the dirty position. I reckon they've been sitting back here somewhere getting the dust on top of them. It's just a little... I don't know if you can see it, there's still some on there. I think most of them have a little band of dust on top. Even these O1s, number 1 to 10, I guess, are a bit filthy. They seem to be cleaning up a bit better now. And once you get to about 8, I think they're pretty good. 55 was the first one I noticed it was really dirty. There's a bit of muck on number 43. Don't think it came off either. Little white dot. Yeah, 51's like dust over half of it there. Radio dial needs a bit more polishing of the dirt off of it. It's just left some dirty stains on there when I've done it. Oops. Some muck on there. Don't think you'll see much of that anyway. Yeah, it's quite a oily kind of film on it, I think. So we've got 51. No, what's the internal? I can't get used to grabbing the internal knob. Flipped through them, didn't I? Well, there's 10. That's all dusty on one half. It probably won't have to go right through the lot anyway. 49, 50, 51 still a little bit. 54 I missed. 55 still a little bit on top. 6, 7's a little bit. I don't think you necessarily even see that. 59 was alright. 11 AM. Oh, yeah, that's right. I keep seeing something happen. I think they swap half. There's 2 11s, I think. 2 of each hour, 12 PM. Let's go through it. Somewhere I'm pretty sure it drops to 12. There it goes. It's got 2 of them. Somewhere around the halfway mark. I'm pretty sure they... 1. Yeah, 24. It flipped over. There it goes. Yeah, on the 24 we get a second hour come up. Tick. Oh, it's when you go one past. It's almost like it lost a minute then. It kind of goes it whether you do it or not. I don't know, it's a bit weird. And that doesn't take 2 minutes to do it. So that's that dial. That one's a little bit of a clean as well. I think that's the alarm setting. Well, you could spend all day on this, I guess. A little bit of a line on there, that is a bit of dust. Some side, maybe it comes from this little pointer thing. Well, that only really touches a small amount. Yeah, it's right in line with that. There's a line of dust. That's really annoying when there's 2 on each hour, but it's the same amount of turning, I guess, so it doesn't really matter. Quite a bit to wind through, but at least you can sort of check. What was that? There was something on one of those minutes. Oh, it says Japan somewhere. Is it on the 0 or something? That's a bit sneaky, Japan. Oh, I miss it. It's either in the 50s or the 0s. I reckon it's on the 0. There you go. Japan, they're not that well lined up either. Yeah, there it is. I actually got it to stop there, Japan. I think I've gone through most of them. I can't remember where I actually started. But that's good enough for now. Really, on an old clock like this, you probably should check everything. But if you're going to sell it or something, but I'm not going to do anything with this one that I can think of. I just wanted to have a go at one. Now I've got a bit of stuff stuck on the inside of this. Since I barely ever fixed any of these things, I doubt I've fixed more than about 2 of these things ever. But they're interesting bit of old equipment. Probably should turn the power off now before I touch something I shouldn't. Pretty safe, I think, but with neons and stuff everywhere, you never know. Oh, I've got to put the screws back in there, don't I? I don't have to, but it would be good to screw. Were they the ones out of there, I think? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the rusty ones are underneath. Just doesn't look right because they're plastic type threads going into metal, but it's only a bit of aluminium, and I think it's just going up a. Well, maybe it is going to a hole. It's either just screwing between 2 bits in a slot. Yeah, no, it is just a slot in the aluminium, I think. That's close enough you can get a screw into it on 2 sides. Oh, well, I will be glad to see this thing put back together because it's been lying around for ages. One of those jobs I sort of started looking at and got put aside because it wasn't urgent or important or anything. But I thought one day I wouldn't mind trying to get that going. Well, it's a bit cleaner than it was. I think we can actually put the lid back on it pretty much. I might give those switches a bit of a clean on top. Okay, they're rather filthy. Much easier to clean while we've got the lid off. And yeah, pretty sure the knobs I just put back on this, the ones that were there, so the other ones are all missing, I think. So it's never going to be a restored clock sort of thing, unless I could find another one. They used to be quite common, these things around the place, but yeah, we're talking 30 years ago probably more. I think that just fits on. I might have to give this a bit of a clean. Oh, they're a bit fiddly. How did I get this? I think they're a bit fiddly to get the cover back on. I seem to remember it was a little difficult getting this wooden bit off. Or are you meant to slide the clock mechanism or something, maybe? But I think I got it off without loosening anything, but maybe I'm wrong. Pretty do have to be a bit careful how you pull them apart. Yeah, maybe that's what I did. Maybe I loosened the clock mech from below and slid it to one side or something. So I'm pretty sure this doesn't go back together easily. Because we've got a knob sticking out, we've got quite thick wood on the ends of this thing. And we've got a tuning shaft on one side, we've got a clock, and maybe just got to get the clock in. It really doesn't want to. There's not much flex in it, I don't think. Couple of metal brackets underneath. Looks like I've had to drill one of the screws through on it, or someone has. Now I can get access to it, I should be able to remove that. So did it melt through the plastic? My guess is it would have done. Yeah, it did. Sometimes you just try and drill them and they just get hot and just melt through the plastic, and that's good enough. That's as best you can do if you can't get hold of the head or anything. Obviously not too critical on this one, but not so good if you're trying to restore the thing. Oh, come on, out of there. Because it's somewhere where you can't get your fingers on it. And pliers don't even fit in there very well. Yeah, I can kind of get hold of it. Oh, that's a fiddly job. Bits of screw falling off. That's got it. Chuck that in the rubbish. Yeah, interesting, the clock mech didn't look like it had been loose in this thing. So how the hell did I get it apart? Oh, that's right, it's got that drilled out bit. That was the key, I think. You put the tuning knob in there, no, it still doesn't seem to work. It must be related to it though. Oh yeah, maybe, oh yeah, so you put the tuning shaft in that drilled out bit, then I think we can slide it enough to get this side on. That's it, that's in, and then yeah, then you can move it forward. God, what a design, eh? That was the key. The other option probably would be just to loosen the clock mech off. Now, what are the chances of me finding the screws out of this originally? Not very high, but they were just standard Japanese metal threads. Probably something like these. I did keep a few, nowhere near as many as I once had. That looks like it was out of something made by Panasonic, because they always use that head. I reckon I'll just put a couple of those in. That might be enough, or maybe a couple more just to do the four corners. It's only short ones that need, so that's good. The originals are a little bit longer, but it just makes life harder to pull it apart, really. That one, oh, that's the drilled out one, I think. No, it's not. Where's the longer one? Doesn't seem to want to bite into the metal. Yeah. We'll put a long one in there. It does need a new power plug on this at some stage, because someone's cut the plug off it for some reason. And that is the clock end, so that must be the tuning one. Just goes on a single brass shaft there. Probably should have cleaned that as well. Is that tuning, or yeah, it's tuning? That's volume at the front. I didn't actually check the radio on this. I guess I should have checked that before I put it back together. So focused on the clock. That the radio. Oh, there we go. I'll probably try it at some stage. Sounds all Greek or something to me. A little bit iffy. Possibly a bit off frequency. I think the pointer might have moved a little bit on it at some stage, but yeah, forget these actually have got like a fairly decent sized speaker, 100mm or so, maybe a 75, and in a decent box they actually sound quite good. Where's the volume? Try the AM out.
A tech bro or a tech girl is going to come knocking on the door and they're going to want to sell you. Yes, in the district of Prenzlauer Berg in Berlin.
As well today, a rude leopard maybe gone not back into himself, it was more cautious.
Yeah, all seems to work well, but unfortunately a few missing knobs. I might have to run the clock for a bit, see if it actually keeps accurate time, but I reckon it probably will. Sleep control, so you've actually got a sleep timer for the radio, I guess. Which one you set it to? Auto maybe, but auto is the alarm. I guess we should see what the alarm sounds like if I can get it to trigger. I think just winding these things through, normally it says off. Do I need to go to auto maybe? I don't know. That's the alarm, I think. There it is. It doesn't really have a volume control on it, but it sounds like it's an electronic one rather than a... Pretty sure that was coming out of the speaker. Horrible noise. So it sounds like an electromechanical sort of one, but it isn't. It's just a horrible bit of distortion out of the speaker. But yeah, it's not too bad a looking old clock. It's a little bit rough around the edges. We've got the old vinyl over plywood type design. And yeah, no idea what year this was, but made in Korea actually, so it's not a Japanese one. Well, it's Japanese mech, so it's got Japan on the clock mech, but it's actually Korean after all. Oh well, there you go. Something, well, they don't have a connection. Maybe some of them had an external antenna connection. You've got your earphone connection, tone control, volume control. So yeah, quite a large unit. But that'll get that one going probably as much as I'm ever going to do anything with it. And I do have one other one, which is a General Electric, so I might have a look at that in the same video. But if not, thanks for watching.